By the way, in the little verbiage like you want at the bottom, fees start at $1,000 a month for non-compliance. Throw that in. It's already been made. You don't have to rewrite the letter. We'll send you lows, and you can call Bob and say, Bob, how's it working? You know, and he may say, well, because we have no teeth in it, you know, you need to throw that $1,000 thing of yours on there. That should get some teeth going. But it's going to take 3 to 5 years. In the beginning, we just want them tagging and we want you guys tagging because it's already in your jacket. You're going in for a plumbing thing or electrical thing, and what do you walk out of there? You're supposed to walk out with a copy of the affidavit for every permit situation. Because in order to close the permit, what do you need? Right? That's the little checklist thing. You ask for it at the end, or you're going to ask it right off the beginning?
In the beginning.
You can ask for it in the beginning. So, by the way, just so you know, I know you're changing your light bulb, but at the end, when it closes, I need an affidavit. You already have it? Because if you already have it, bring it, stick it in here, because we won't ask for you at the end. Otherwise, if you have to have a tenant in by Saturday, and you don't have an affidavit, I'm not going to give you your occupancy. So it's just a little checklist item.
Yeah.
So you guys see where we're going here? All right. Ready? I'm going to scare you a little bit with the... These are real live load tests where people died. And let me show you, I want to read the code to you a little bit so that we're all very clear with what 1001.3. So the inside page, first inside page. Ready? Mass Building Code 1001.3, testing and certification. Are we ready, guys? All exterior bridges. Have we mentioned fire escapes yet? Steel or wooden stairways. Have we mentioned fire escapes yet? Steel or wooden stairways. Have we mentioned fire escapes yet?
No.
Porches, decks. Are they all a form of bridges, exterior bridges, steel or wooden stairways?
That's every egress on every three-decker.
Everything on the back of a building that's exposed to the weather is it covered under 1001.3?
Yep.
Then they talk about fire escape. So is this a fire escape class, or is this a all exterior steel or wooden egresses? Platforms, balconies, bridges.
All of the above.
So what are we focusing only on today? Fire escapes. In your future, what are you guys going to be jumping onto? Because you guys know what happened in Chicago on that deck with 20, a bunch of people partying. How many died? I think it was like 27. Some crazy number.
Yeah,
The whole thing went down. 27 people died.
yeah, well, they were dancing.
Yeah, but still, it was still a deck that collapsed, and 27 people died from the party.
Yeah, we run into some things that are kind of similar to that, where I saw the floor joist, 2x10 floor joist, break with kids packed up at Assumption College. They were dancing. They broke the floor joist. It's incredible how much when everybody's moving at the same time.
So at all these frat houses,
Yeah.
what code are you going to use now to make them inspect their decks now? And all exterior steel or wooden stairs, balconies, Romeo and Juliet balconies. What code covers everything on the exterior that will hold somebody there for a fireman to come and get, or for them to sell? 1001.3. It's always been there. All exterior steel or wooden stairs.
Believe it or not.
Then fire escape. So guys, it's there already.
Believe it or not, we do have that certification for all those schools. That comes under me,
With a permit?
with permit.
No, I'm saying, did they pull a permit to fix?
Well, if I had
Name
structural damage on it, yes. Where they would pull the permit. I worked with the fire protection engineers at WPI, and what we do is I work in conjunction with him. We get everything, we get it under permits, and we get them in control, and they do have the affidavits.
We're saying now because of this, you don't have to.
I'm smarter now.
You don't have to do that. You're going to have them assign an engineer of oversight who's going to come and meet you at your office, bring you photographs, and start talking to you about every single one and how he's going to make sure that they are either going to be load tested or provide you with other evidence of strength. Because if you're not satisfied with anybody who shows up at your desk and gives you the common respect that you need, what are you going to order on them? What are you going to constantly threaten everybody who keeps dancing around you? So listen, either you prove to me that this, because I'm the authority having jurisdiction, either you prove to me that you know your stuff, And I just want to make sure that this is safe, it's not going to kill tenants or firemen. if you're kind of dancing around this, I'm gonna throw a load test at you. If that's what you want, and you think you're done, I don't think you're done, let's go to load test. And they're like, what do you mean? Read the code, read the code, it says right there. Because let me show you some other evidence of load testing, live load testing. This is in Boston, Beacon Hill. 27-year-old girl was partying with her boyfriend on the neighbor's roof deck because the way to get across was through this thing that went, this is a 5-story, this is a 4-story. So on the 5th story, you can go across and party. So at 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning, drinking, having a good old time, the phone rings back in the apartment, she decides to go answer the phone for him, and she forgets what? How to get back till she fell into the pit and died. This fire escape here, see that mangled? There's 3 of them. There's one there, there was one here, and there's one that I'm on. And guess what happened? The guy took this 5-unit complex and he sold it as condos. Him and his son did the whole roof. Guess what they forgot to put back in? All the bolts. So guess what happened when on this day, a buyer, a real estate agent, the seller, the real estate agent, and a trustee went up there to, talk about whatever. Guess what happened to them? They all fell just 12 feet onto a roof over here. Had they fallen further, done. But they all fell, mangled steel on top of everybody. Did anybody die? No. Did everybody have access to their cell phone? Yes. Your first number you dial?
911.
Your lawyer, see? No. Your lawyer? And you ask your lawyer to do what? Call 911.
Take a picture, send it to your lawyer.
Right? So that was one. Here's another one in Iowa. I'm an expert witness on this case. 3 kids watching fireworks up there. They took the fire escape down. The maintenance guys for this guy's building, he owns a lot of property there that he rents to kids. And then instead of putting back a through bolt that was there originally, what did they put back in that 1/2-inch hole? A 1/2-inch lag bolt in a 1/2-inch hole that was already drilled. And so they're up there watching the fireworks, and what did it do? It went boom, boom to the ground. That's all their blood. 2 guys and a girl, seriously maimed. There's a case.
Francisco, I just want to stop you right there, and I have to go to meetings for the rest of the afternoon at City Hall, but I just want to thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
It's good to see you again,
Thank you.
and yourself, and whatever information or whatever the contact person, I will work on that, as we spoke before.
Perfect. What he's mentioning is that we're going to have a lead person that we're going to beat up a little bit on the building department side. We're going to have a person on the fire prevention side that we're going to work one-on-one, and that's the 2 people we're going to constantly just work with and just keep moving. We'll get you a nice book and just work slowly, 3 to 5 years. So we're not going to rush into this, but everything should go back through that. Every fire escape you get, no matter who the inspector is, should lead back through that, those 2 people who will coordinate with each other. So we'll work with him to have these lead people basically hold the ball for the next 3 to 5 years. And every fire escape becomes sort of a guinea pig, sort of a model. And after a while, it'll start getting back, just like sprinklers. Today, nobody thinks about a sprinkler because it's all under control, correct? Nobody thinks about an elevator certification because it's under control. 3 to 5 years from now, fire escapes will be there. But right now, it's the Wild Wild West, and I still have my gun and my badge. Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you very much.
All right, so again, live load testing. Sadly, what happens? 2 things occur. They either live or they die. But when they live, what happens to them? They're maimed or crippled. It was the fire chief that told me, I think it was the fire chief, he says, one of the most frequent accidents to firefighters is what? Maybe you don't know, but he was telling me, it was treads giving way on fire escapes. Nationally, more firemen are hurt with broken tread injuries than anything else. Aside from death, we do have a fireman issue here that I'll show you. This is us doing the investigation on site where we found the smoking gun because they put all the materials in another place, like 8 blocks away in an open field. They threw the fire escape there. And when we got there, we found the lag bolt. So we found out why it collapsed. Then they put it right back up. The problem is they put it back up wrong. They put a pole in it, right into the shingles without any footing of any kind. And right here where the stair comes down and then turns, The catwalk that used to go to the ladder was missing. And right here where it turns, there was no lake, see these lakes here? There was no lakes here before. They put those lakes, again, into the shingles. You can actually pick up the fire escape at the bottom and still walk it out and walk it back in. So we videotaped all that, so I think this case is gonna settle very quickly. But other forms of live load testing, some of these are historical photographs, some of these are not. What do you guys see? Remember the days before air conditioning? Right? So these are all the ways people are firing. Maybe in Harvard Square, when they have the parades, what do all the kids do on all the fire escapes that are on these old buildings? Get the best view in the house.
Mhm.
There was a case that happened in Harvard Square where one of these had a beautiful top railing cast piece that was rotted away, and they leaned on it, and guess what happened? It fell, and it went straight down into an area full of tourists. Guess what happened? Nothing.
Nothing.
It ricocheted right next to somebody, and it just missed them. Guess what they did? They're like, oh my God, let's look at everything, right? Why? So usually it takes an accident for everybody to start, like, paying attention. How about photographs, right? WPI, my nephew actually is going to WPI, and he's actually taking fire prevention as one of his majors. Well, what do they all do? Can't smoke in the building. Where you smoke?
Yeah.
Can't have candles. Where do you put them? You need some fresh air. Where do you go? Who inspects fire escapes? Let's be very clear. Does anybody know what a sanitation engineer is? Train engineer? Landscape engineer? Right? What's a fire escape engineer?
Okay, it was
Right, it's an expert in that field. So if you want to do anything, you want to be a water engineer, an acoustical engineer, a sound engineer. You throw engineer on the end of your name, and you're an engineer. Is a fire escape engineer a structural engineer? Not always. Can a structural engineer be a fire escape engineer?
Yes.
Can a fire escape engineer be a structural engineer?
No.
No. He can get licensed. There's two current certifications right now. There's a certification out of LA as a fire escape tester. So can that guy call himself a fire escape engineer if he's a certified fire escape tester?
No.
Yes, he can, because I'll put my name on the end of anything. I can
He
be,
is certified.
I'll be a rug engineer.
Yeah.
So it's just a nice, healthy, it's a nice elevated title for yourself, because everybody's doing it.
It's an adjective.
But you can't say you're a structural engineer, but you can say you're a fire escape engineer because you have some sort of license. In Boston, because you have a G3 license, can anybody in Boston call themselves a fire escape engineer with a G3 license?
Yes.
Yeah, because they have some expertise in that field and whatever. Can they call themselves a structural engineer?
No.
No. So let's be aware who is. But the code is very clear on the code. Registered Massachusetts professional or others acceptable to the building official, which means, if you look at the code right there on what Boston used to do, it says right there, they want registered professional engineer or others qualified and acceptable to the building official. And I believe down at the bottom they give examples of it. Engineer or licensed builder. So what's that mean?
Builders are professional.
It's a G3. So they're allowing G3s to sign this because it's right in the code, or others acceptable to the building official. So that means you could accept an architect, you could accept a G3, or not. And just say, no, we only want structural engineers here. Got it? It's your
I've
call.
seen a G3.
They exist. That's what everybody says. In Boston, every G3 guy signs off on his own work under the paint permit process.
Well, we
75 years.
We usually ask for, whatever he gives me for documentation needs to be stamped.
Well, we're just gonna button that up so that there's a two-step process. The exam is done by who? And the repair is done by who? And who watches who?
G3.
And who watches who? This guy watches this guy. What's been happening, not just Massachusetts, nationwide, who's been doing it all? This guy. Basically taking license and doing, because these things haven't been falling apart because they weren't 75 years old. So, engineers, architects, sometimes they think city officials are inspectors. City official was just here, he didn't say anything wrong, why are you violating me? Fire escape inspectors, G3s, certified testers. This fire escape, pass or fail? This one,
No.
it used to be white, in case anybody can't see.
Yeah.
Failed?
Failed.
Okay. I went there and examined this fire escape, and this is what I was facing. They got an inspection by an engineer. And it says right on his report, fix a tread, unbend the flat, and give it a paint job, and I'll sign off on it. This is what I found. Now, what's this saying? That the guy, I'm better than the guy? No. Is that when you have opinions, one man, this is an opinion letter.
You actually went and looked. didn't you?
Yeah, this is my report. And then here, and if you read here, it's to the best of my information, knowledge, and belief, and this was not a load test, you know, it's basically his disclaimer. This is a fire escape I did in Chicago. 250 apartments. This is the letter, and it says, fix a couple of bolts, change a couple of treads, and I'll sign off on it after you paint it. When I got there, this is what I found. This is the only thing holding the entire structure up. These are through rods that were all eaten. I brought this to the attention of the city official. This is that detention center that I talked to you about. That when you walk up to it, it looks pretty good, but when you get there, what happens? So rust is one of those situations that it can build up, and you can see how much rust can build up on these things here. It needs 25 years to grow 1/4. It needs 50 years to grow 1/2 inch. Where do I get that information? That was part of the information from a metallurgist used in one of the cases with a fireman that we're going to be talking about. So 50 years to grow 1/2 inch. That's almost 3/4 right now. Is that going to support a fireman? Or we're going to give them the hammer? Right? I think that's it. So let's just give everybody a hammer. That's the next day. We need to purchase some hammers. Give every fireman on the street that's fighting a fire, just give him his little hammer. And when he starts getting to any fire escape, just have him perform inspection tests.
They got hammers. Yes. With a long handle.
So important right here is what we got. The International Fire Code says, depending upon the structural condition, a load test shall be conducted. So if you don't like what the building department's doing, what can you order? The NFPA, who basically simplifies a lot of things and makes it simple, but a lot of states are now using the NFPA. You know, like in New Hampshire, you know what the code they use? The fire department? They don't use the International Fire Code, they use the NFPA. And the code is very clear. The authority having jurisdiction shall be permitted to approve any existing fire escape stair that has been shown by load test or other evidence of strength. What do we now call other evidence of strength?
Replace all the bolts.
Replace all the bolts. That's called a certification. If you want to leave behind for me one bolt and you want to give me an opinion certification, what may or may I not order? A load test. Let's say you don't order a load test and you accept my opinion letter because some engineer is going to freak out and start yelling at you, this is absurd and I'm going to take this to the Supreme Court, and you accept this letter and something happens on that fire escape. Who goes to court?
The bolt guy.
No, on an opinion letter. The engineer's going to court, right? Guess who else is going to go to court? The one who accepted it, which is
Me.
you.
Yeah.
Because why? Because that's what the code says.
Right.
And so you accepted other evidence of strength to be a spot repair. You left behind original hardware, which is over 75 years old. Do you have any 75-year-old boilers that are still around? Do you have any 75-year-old roofs that are still around? Do you have any 75-year-old windows that are still around? Do you have any 75-year-old anything that's been exposed to the weather that they haven't at least fixed or refurbished? So why are you letting fire escapes the second means of egress? So if you accept an original hardware and you accept this, I will take you with me to court. I'll get sued. And I'm taking you, I said, this is all he wanted. I said, let's load test. He goes, nah, forget load test. He said it. He took my certification and it's the wink wink thing that says, to the best of my information, knowledge, and belief. And you accepted it, so you are now joining
We
me.
accept these affidavits, certifications, affidavits every day here in this
I know it.
office. And, you know, so, I mean, you know, I'm having a hard time with this whole
On
thing.
life safety?
What's that?
On life safety issues or places that?
Well, on a new building, I'm getting all sorts of affidavits and from architects and engineers alike on life
But-
safety.
By the
of that
way,
building.
they said they can't use the word affidavit, just so you know. It's gonna be, it's in the mass.gov. They want the word affidavit out and they want certification. So that's not me, I'm just reading what I spoke with Gene Novak yesterday. So the word affidavit is kind of being taken out. Certification. I think the whole language is now gonna be, what is a certification? So let's take this elevator in this building. Does it get certified or load tested?
The elevator,
The elevator.
it gets certified. Well, no, I don't even know what they do, to be honest with you.
Anybody know what they do to the elevator?
Load.
They load test it.
And then
They fix bolts. They leave behind any original hardware?
No.
Yes, they do.
They do?
Yeah, you go inside, you may have a nice new shiny button to push, but you know what that thing looks like in the cables and all
Oh.
the attachments? What?
Because he did the load test.
Because he did the load
Right.
test. So he spot repairs
I got you.
and he load tests.
So what are we looking?
But then all of a sudden he goes in there and says, you know what, this is crap. He puts a brand new elevator. Does he load test it?
No.
He certifies it.
So what are we?
But the year subsequent, what's he probably has to do?
Load test.
Load test. So fire escapes, I don't have all the answers, guys, here. I'm just telling you what the code says. It says load tested or other evidence of strength.
Well, so then what you're saying is on some of these other things, if this guy's trying to pressure me, what I do is I question him with respect.
To other evidence of strength.
Right. And then I refer back to the code,
3 codes.
right, and I show him this and I say, give me a load test.
Give me a load test, I'm not satisfied. Because the authority having jurisdiction
Me.
shall accept by load test first.
Right.
So the first thing you're always supposed to do is always supposed to get a load test. Unless there's some other thing that makes you feel good at night,
Right.
which is other evidence of strength. Also known as a certification. So you say to him, prove it to me. He goes, okay, I took every bolt out. The connection into the building, I duplicated it. I silicone shut every connection. Why are you making me load test it? Nah, you're being a jerk.
Right.
You know, if I changed every bolt and you just don't like me, you're making me, now, I'm gonna speak to the commissioner. I said, 2 things, so I can use it against him. Imagine I refurbished the whole thing and he still wants me to load test because he doesn't like me? What are you doing? It's 2 things, load test or other evidence of strength. It's a full refurb, why are you making me load test it too? That's another issue, but that's the power, the back and forth power, yes.
Sit back to liability issue though, so I go to a fire escape, I look at it, in my opinion, looks pretty good. The hell do I know, I'm just a building inspector. And I take my certification from the structural engineer.
Right,
That this thing is.
right, the opinion letter, he gives you this opinion
Gives
letter,
me an opinion letter,
to the best of my
and I put that
information.
in my file, and
Yeah, Chicago did too.
somebody dies on that next week.
Somebody got his brain crushed.
I don't
on
see
ours.
why, why am I going to court?
Doesn't matter, you go in court anyway.
Why?
We'll figure it out later.
Because you.
Because you accept it, this is what you accept.
Yeah, you accept
The
it.
code allows me to accept.
So accept it, I'll see you in court. We're just trying to
I guess I'll
tell
see in
you,
court.
we're just telling you that we are in court and this came up. But the greatest thing about it is that the city was there too, and so the lawyers are also there. Well, why'd you accept this? It's very clear, it says load test, so okay, we got 100 years, when's the last time you actually load tested? Oh, we've never load tested. So for 75 years, you've only been accepting opinions?
Right.
You take opinions on roofs, you take opinions on I-beams, you take opinions on elevators. Why don't we just start taking opinions on elevators from now on? Ah, she looks good. Load them up. They don't take opinions on ladders, right? You ever see what they do with fire truck ladders? Every year, what happens to those fire truck ladders?
They get tested.
Certified or tested? What do they get?
They get tested.
Load test.
Load tested. They don't get certified. There's not some guy go, oh, this looks pretty good. Does it go out and back in?
They take them out.
You want to see it fully inspected? No. Bags, sandbags, and costs how much every year? Every year.
They have to do
Do you have to load test a brand new truck?
it.
No, it comes in
The following year.
brand new.
But they don't test the brakes in Boston.
I know.
They use the building to stop them.
So guys, what we're talking about here, I don't have all the answers.
There you go.
Took 75 years to do it wrong, we know why, right? How did I hide in this area? How did I hide? Under what kind of permit did I hide for 75 years?
Paint, no permit.
Under a paint permit. That's all, just realizing it was abuse. And because it's an outside thing, we call it the bastard child of egress. Guess who cared about it? Nobody. Guess who was the first to scream that they're not gonna get on it anymore?
Right.
Right? Now, what are we doing here today? We just say, hey, there's a problem, and how long are we gonna take to fix it? First off, we gotta do, find them.
Okay.
That's what Seattle's doing. They just find them. They're not on this mission, let's go fix every single one. They just say, let's give these guys a flag. Let's give them something they can hang their hat on when they show up in a dark alley somewhere. They look up and they say, anybody see a tag on this thing? No tag means what? Don't get on it. They see a white tag, and like you said, it's a meter. You tag, as soon as you tag one of these yellows in your jacket, you tag a yellow or a red on it. Usually when it's a red, what kind of a response are you going to get anyway? You know what I have to do if I'm in LA? You know what I have to do in LA if I'm inspecting a fire escape under the Certified Reg Tester program that is issued by the fire department? I can't leave that site until I call the captain of the area, some fire station in that area, and wait for him to arrive, and then I can leave. So if I get there and there's a life safety issue, I'll lose my license if I leave. Captain, yeah. What do you want me to dial 911? I will, but you gotta come down. For what? Oh, the fire escape man. No, just don't worry, I'll write it up. And if my license is gone, if you get down here and you play with this thing. Then as soon as he arrives, that's the code. So all we're doing right now over the next 3 to 5 years is this is nothing but an identification program. What comes from it? Fees, permits, this. That's just another source of income that should have been there anyway all along, but we've stopped the non-paying permit program that you guys have in place. Not just you guys, everyone in the United States has this program. This is the bastard child of egress. I've made so much money never letting you guys know anything about it, then I just called the who guy? The stamp receptionist. So, everybody clear? And whenever you refer to the code, don't refer to your code. Always tell anybody you're talking to. All 3 codes say that I can pull this load test. So if all of a sudden you get me not to have my commissioner, order a load test, my fire buddies are going to come in here and order a load test anyway. Because they have the same power. This piece of paper means nothing to them. If they're not satisfied, because it's really them and the tenants that are putting their life on the line. So we got to put the tags back on. Okay? Confidence tests. They exist. Go to seattle.gov, download if you don't like the ones that the National Fire Escape Association. It's these. That's what you're going to get. They come when you go to seattle.gov. It's a Word document. Just come in and erase this, and then you just put. But what we've done, and through the National Fire Escape, they just put your codes in here. So it's a little bit of modification. There's a great thing that came out of Tacoma that nobody else is doing, but we love it and we incorporated it. And that is the annual. So you have the 5-year rule, and who signs that? Structural engineer. You know who signs the annual? The owner, the maintenance guy, the representative. And what is that annual? Because you guys do annuals on a lot of these commercial buildings. It says, by the local guy, the bolts and supports are not damaged or rusted, meaning nothing's hit it to my knowledge. The paint looks in good condition, and all moving parts and windows and doors open. That's it. That's the annual. And who's he hand this to? The yearly inspector or the yearly inspector? And now when you have a fire escape that comes up over the roof, on a ladder, 3 to 5 stories down, to a cantilever, you want to walk it or you want to make the maintenance guy walk it? Right? This is a great thing. You say, hey, I'm checking your building out, alarms, the batteries, and everything's good. All right, last thing is this fire escape. So go to the roof. I'll be downstairs. Climb over. Come all the way down. Activate the release. Come down the stairs and do a trial run for my guys for me, please. Show me that everything's working. Okay, I'll be downstairs waiting for you. What's wrong with that?
Oh, I don't know if I'd ask them to do that.
Well, it's their responsibility, this is maintenance. You wanna do it, you wanna go over the roof, down the stairs, release the cantilever? Now, if there's a white tag on it, any problems?
No.
I mean, the guy's just gonna be scared. I'm scared going over some of these stupid roofs. I get scared. And these firefighters, they do it all the time, but if it's got a white tag, what if it doesn't have a tag?
Question?
Anybody gonna walk it? These tags only initiate after the 5 years have started, you know, the green card is up. Can they hire any other company to come out and do this? Can they hire either the engineer of record or any fire escape inspection company to come out and do that for them, on their behalf? Right, it just becomes an activity. But 3 questions, are these hard questions for the year? So for 5 years, engineers are watching fire escapes every 5, but who watches it every year?
These fire escapes, are they required by code, number one?
Oh, very good question.
Because what's stopping people from just cutting them off like we've done a lot probably in the past? You know, if they've got all the means of egress, it's a sprinkled building,
Let's hit that one first. The insurance company, some building inspectors say, hey, listen, I know you only got one means of egress, you sprinkle the building, you don't need a fire escape. Well, the problem with that is it's been forced upon certain people in different times. They chose a sprinkler system over another fire escape. The insurance company walks in later and says, what?
Where's your second meeting?
Where's your second means of egress? Says, well, the fire guy said that, you know, instead of a fire escape, I spent 40 grand on the sprinkler, and I'm all set. He goes, 30 days, get a fire escape. Like, they start suing you guys. So, just so you guys know, even though somehow, I don't know where the code is that says a sprinkler duplicates a fire, I don't know where it says that.
You're
But the
talking
insurance
about,
company is knocking every one of those. He gives 2 people money, sprinkler guys and fire escape guys money because it cancels your insurance.
yeah, but I'm not talking about a fire escape, you generally, in my opinion, is not a second means of egress.
It is a
It's
second means of
third or
egress.
fourth.
It's a second means of egress.
If I
Even if it's for one part of the building. Even if you've got 2 means of stairs and there's a little tower over there, and that tower, in order for it to be used, has a fire escape, that's a second means of egress. It's not a fire escape.
It's an emergency escape means of egress, it's not a second.
It's not a primary, what I'm getting at, let me, I don't wanna argue with you.
Oh, yeah, on the code question.
On the fact, like, I got a building, very simple building, 5, 6-story building, we'll make it a high-rise, building, 2 stair towers, residential building, 2 interior stair towers, sprinkled building. And just because it's an old building, it happens to have a fire escape on that other back wall, they can cut that off,
They can.
Yeah.
because it's
So-
not required.
So here's what you're saying. That there was a change of use that must have happened. There must have been a factory that got converted, you know, whatever the story is. The 75-foot rule, right? You need the directions. And you can't cross 1 stair to get to the second.
Correct.
Okay.
All that,
Fire escapes on a pre-existing structure is an answer to whenever you've exhausted all other means. And I've got this beautiful fire escape thing, but then some guy's got this weird unit that has 3 floors on it and he's living up in the tower. He needs to have a second means of egress. So this fire escape kicks in. So a fire escape, minimum requirement for a fire escape is 24 inches wide. Minimum requirement for a second means of egress that looks like a fire escape is 36 inches wide. Rise and run is 7-11, not 8 and 8. So all we're calling this all exterior steel or wooden stairs. By the way, while we're there, can I put a wooden fire escape on a wooden building? Yeah, it has to match the building type. So I can't put a wooden structure on a steel building or on a brick building, but I can, so there's another thing that people, can I build a brand new fire escape if I'm digging a hole in the ground?
No.
No. So no new fire escapes can be built in the United States. You gotta build your 2 staircases inside. But any existing structure, mansions, schools, churches, what can I build all day long in them to satisfy the second means of egress or a fire escape egress? Fire escapes. What will determine what you're getting? Determines whether or not you're going to use that as a second means of egress or you're going to use it as a fire escape. Fire escape is the narrow. Second means of egress, can I put a spiral there?
No.
No, unless it's a special condition and you've exhausted every possibility and the spiral is your only answer. Can I put a ladder there?
No.
No, unless you've exhausted every means of possible and the ladder's the only solution. You can put a ladder. So spirals you can do case by case. Ladders you can do case by case. A ladder fire escape.
Not for egress, oh.
Well, you can, when you've exhausted every possible solution, because you have some of these row houses, you have some very unique, on a case-by-case basis, with special order from the fire department and the building department, a ladder could be the final answer, because you couldn't come up with anything else that made sense. You make that decision, not us. Ready? Codes, tags, department and procedures and guidelines. You know, this is the Seattle tags. You know how big they are? 19 inches wide. You know how tall they are? 11 inches high. They're monsters. We think that 8.5 by 11 is more than sufficient, but you want to make them billboards? Can firemen see these on a fire escape?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a tag on a fire escape right there in Seattle.
And it's a
The
white.
color is all you care about, right? Those other ones that you saw before were actually fire escapes in the process of being inspected. Because guess who else puts yellows and reds on fire escapes? The fire escape inspectors, the structural engineers, they also have reds and yellows. So while the fire escape is in the process of going through the inspection process, if you didn't find it, or somebody during their information that they got on the tax records, you know, they said, oh, I'm gonna make my call myself and not avoid this $1,000 penalty. So when we get out there and inspect, guess what we leave behind? Yellows and reds. Who's the only one that puts out whites?
The ones that pass.
The ones that pass. Who puts it out though? City puts any whites out? Any ever puts a white out?
No.
No white, but the whites are put out by the inspector. Fire towers, wall thin. They were using this up to the day that I did what? I inspected it. And all the treads are falling. We shut it down. I was just there 2-3 months ago. Still in the same condition.
Take them to court.
Guess who this is? This is 1 inch of rust. Chelsea Homes up on the hill. You know the VA hospital, the Chelsea Homes up on the hill of in Chelsea. They have the VA hospital up by the big tank when you go Route 1 and stuff like that. So if the war didn't kill you, what was going to get you?
Fire escape.
Fire escape. Took 2 years after we shot these photographs for them to fix it. To get what? Funding. Look at these fire escapes. Trucks back into these things. Trash trucks rip these down.
See that all the time.
All the time.
I can take it.
You know, oh, speaking of that, you know what you call a fire escape that got hit by a trash truck? It's a lottery ticket. You know why? Because everybody thinks you're just gonna fix that one tread, that one bent rail, or that one bent thing. You know what you have to fix on a fire escape every time you get hit by a trash truck? The entire structure, regardless of its condition. You know why? Because in order for me to bring it back into operational condition and certify it, do I just fix the damage, or I have to fix the whole thing?
Fix the whole thing.
Guess who pays for it?
The truck.
The trash truck. So every now and then, people say, oh, this trash truck, this shit like this. Oh, dude, let me first tell you, you got an insurance lottery, you got a fire escape lottery ticket there. Because you're about to get fixed what you didn't want to fix anyway, and you got 7 stories here that are about to get fixed and painted, because this guy won't let me put it back into operational condition. Because yeah, I fixed the bottom cantilever, they got bent. Guess what he's gonna order on me? A load test.
Load test.
Guess what, it won't pass, because you got all these other dangling treads. Guess who's gonna pay this all? Insurance company.
Cisco, does the entire building get certified?
Right, everything's by an address. What he's talking about is that sometimes you get to an address, there's 2 fire escapes. 1 address. And when I fix the left side, can I forgive the right side and leave it alone? So you certify an address. So if the fire escape gets hit on the left side, and there's another one on the right side, both fire escapes are part of a fire escape system. So the lottery ticket has to pay for what? The damaged one plus the other one. This is actually in a city hall in Haverhill. I don't know if you can see it, but there's dangling treads. Actually, it's right here, dangling treads.
Wait till we start telling these people that if the trash truck hits there, we're gonna get them all fixed.
We just need to pay a good trash truck driver out there to go crazy. You know, I mean, it's no more jumping into malls and shooting people. No, I need a trash truck guy driving just down all your alleyways and just going crazy, knocking all these fire escapes to the ground. Say, oh, hallelujah, this guy's gonna be a hero. Here's the fire escape that we took down. And what I'm showing you here is all the wrong ways to fix it. So if you can't fix the rust underneath, what do? you put an angle clip on the top, and you weld it over here, and you weld all the little bars. Can you weld on fire escapes anymore?
No.
No. So is this an acceptable repair? And you weld the rust. If you got rust in the connection, how do you hide it? You weld it in, just. Can you do that anymore?
Why can't we weld them anymore? Because of lead?
EPA states that there's lead based, and you can't put a flame to anything. So forget fire escapes. Can you get a guy who has a lead in an apartment, sit there with a torch and burn the paint off and, thank you. Burn all the paint off then?
No.
No. Fire escapes, you can't do the same. A fire, what do you call it? A welding rod is a flame. And the fumes that come from that guy burning, guess where it goes?
Yeah.
So,
Snipping it up.
So if there's no welding allowed,
it's bolted already. Here's the beauty. Welding was never an acceptable repair method for fire escapes. 98% of every fire escape in the country, not here, is bolted because they heat up in the summer and do this. They chill in the winter and do this. And they sway in the wind and do this. And the only thing that allows that to happen is a bolt. This weld right here does not let anything happen. So all the stresses that are happening when this thing heats and cools is causing for microscopic fractures in the weld. So this weld will snap in 1, 3, 5 years. As soon as you induce rust jacking or ice jacking in there, what happens to that weld? It spreads out. It doesn't even, welds don't spread, they just snap. Now, a bolt will scream for 15, 20, 25 years. 50 years scream. I'll try to break this and it won't break because there's still enough of the shaft left in there, no matter how small. But look at all the jacking and the rust jacking and the bulging. But what didn't give way?
the bolt.
The bolt. You try that on this weld, you can do some rust jacking back here. This thing will just rip and give way. When? When that guy's on it. But a bolt will scream. So if I want to wrong the client in the best possible way and leave this rust, I shouldn't weld this. I could take a bar 1/2 inch or round, I would stick it in here and I would weld it back here and then I would weld it over here. But because the rust jacking is still there, it's going to rip my welds anyway. If I'm going to really do the right thing while I'm wronging the client and taking his money under my permit program, I'll just change that bolt right there, put a new bolt in there, and how many years do I have now before that bolt screams and gives way?
20 to 25.
20 to 25 years, even though the rust is still there. And this rust is eating this steel, eating this material. But if I do a weld here, how many years do I really have for that client?
5.
Not even 3 to 5 years.
Yeah.
And then what happens is, if something happens 25 years from now, they'll never find me. If I wrong them with a bolt. So if you're going to let people, let them wrong them with bolts, not with welds, okay?
Can you weld a member?
You can't weld anything.
Say the stringer is bolted on both ends.
Yes,
But, say for whatever reason, the stringer has
it's
a rod.
rotted in the middle.
Right. Can they cut out the rod?
No, what you do is you clean it all out.
Then
No, you don't weld it in. You just like a bridge. You go to a bridge, they never weld a patch. What do? They clean out the area. So if I had to work on a piece, they would have to have it de-leaded first, you know, that area, if that's the case. Otherwise, I just go in with a piece of steel and I bolt it all. So I would basically scissor it with bolts, not welds.
So say they put snow up against it, and the snow had road salt and it rotted the bottom of the
Right.
stringer. They can't weld that even though it's bolted on both
No, you
ends.
just would cut the rod, so cut it here, and then you extend it, but you'd have a sister piece in here with the bolts. And you use bolts instead of weld, that's all. So you can extend any piece of steel with bolts.
What about the handrail on the guardrail? Looks like that's welded on.
Oh yeah, I'm showing you what people have done wrong. This is not what we're gonna do right. This is not a right one, this is a wrong one. I've got all kinds of wrong things there.
What we see a lot is the treads. They put the angle iron and then they just tack weld it right onto the stringer. And then they put.
How long before that goes?
Well, yeah, those are ones, that's what people
In
get
5
cut.
years on those welded connections, you're gonna have to perform an x-ray. How expensive is an x-ray now to verify those welds?
Right, so they should be actually.
Drilled,
Tack weld it, but then drill it and bolt it.
done. No load test needed.
Right. So
Otherwise, every welded connection, I come and see you and about a welded connected fire escape, You're gonna tell me, if you don't drill these out with bolts, what do you want?
I want a load tech.
So you got the answer. You stop that silliness.
Okay, I learned a lot right there, just right there.
All welded fire escapes 5 years later must be x-rayed. How expensive is it to x-ray an entire fire escape full of welds?
Oh, you can't do it, cost them too much.
So then, on this welded connection that was done 5 years ago, what do you make the guy do?
Drill it.
Drill a hole.
And put a new one.
Put a bolt, silicone shut it. Why? For the weld or for the bolt?
For the bolt.
For the bolt. Does the weld have to leave? No, keep it there. Looks like a good weld.
No, it's okay, because you just duplicated it.
Yeah, so I duplicate it with a bolt, leave the weld there, silicone shut it, paint it, done. You know what we're going with now? We take a connection apart, wire brush it, prime it, inject it with 50-year silicone and give people a 10-year warranty. We take the same connection, open it up, clean it, put a rubber gasket, close it, we give them a 25-year warranty.
Because you're not getting galvanic action, right?
Oh, jeez. I don't know why you talk bad about it. Earlier on, you were saying this guy didn't know it. Galvanic action. That's a new one. I'm gonna have to look that up. Hold on, right, where's my iPhone? What we're talking about is two metals get together. You introduce air and water, what do you get? Oxidation and rust. That's all iron needs. And what is copper's oxidization? What's it called? Patina.
Oh, yeah.
What does aluminum, how does aluminum oxidize?
Corrodes.
It corrodes. They have the same process. Why can't you put aluminum and steel together?
Well, galvanic action, you can't put two.
Yeah, I do.
can't put
You got to use it twice today. But that's it. Two dissimilar metals put together. And a lot of times when you have iron and metal and aluminum, you have to put either a stainless steel or a vinyl washer or something between the two. But otherwise, oxidization happens whenever you have air and water induced in between two connections. And you got dirt and debris falling into a joint. So why do we put silicone in there? To stop water and debris from getting in there and creating a sponge to hold water, hold moisture, and it causes rust. You put a rubber gasket in there, what happens to the two pieces of steel?
It'll last longer.
It'll last on, we'll give it 25 years. What we're using is, you know that last seam you use on a rubber roof? That's glued on one side and it's the final piece that on seams, on rubber roofs? That's what we're testing right now. As the piece in between the treads, all the stringer clips, and all the major structural gussets are all now being, that's what we're doing, is being used with that gasket. Because once we get this fire escape fully refurbished with silicone, 50-year silicone in every minor and major joint, and rubber gaskets in every major joint, what does the owner have on this fire escape for the rest of his life? Any structural repairs? Or just maintenance and paint? That guy, after he's done a full refurb at great expense, $10,000, $20,000, $30,000, now has maintenance and paint for how many years?
25.
25 years. At least he's gonna pull a permit?
No.
We've restarted the process. The only difference is what's in there now in every joint and every connection. Silicone and or a gasket. Backdating. So you say to this guy, I need you to fill out for me a formal preliminary affidavit saying you're watching this. That's gonna make him like, what do you mean? Yeah, you're like in charge of what's gonna happen on this thing. No, the guy only called it. He only paid me once and he hasn't called me since. Okay, well, we need to fix that with the guy because you need to be watching what's going on. And you've made some recommendations that you are gonna watch. So this preliminary affidavit tells me and the owner that I don't talk to anybody else but you on this, however long this is gonna take to do whatever happens here. And that you're gonna be the final guy. This preliminary affidavit also says that you're gonna make at least one visit and make a recommendation because some of these things are permanent activity. So, in order for the guy to go do whatever it says on here, he's not gonna use this letter to go fix this stuff. You're gonna give him a detailed repair guidelines, which is, what we have here. This is a repair detailed guidelines, or this is iron related, but you give me one for exactly how to fix this. You have two ways to tell me how to fix this, with photographs or with a drawing specifying exactly what needs to be done. So you start working backwards with every fire escape you got. The new ones that are coming aboard, you start this process nice and slow. Just get them going, but you back them into the confidence test and you back them into the preliminary and final affidavit. And then every existing one for the past 6 months.
affidavits?
Yes, those two. You just make them sign the first one.
Yes.
Hey, does your owner know that you're going to be watching this till the end? Oh, no, he just called me out once, gave me a $300 check, and he doesn't even answer my phone when I call him again. So what could this have been? What we call a,
Yeah.
right? So he said, no. You've got recommendations. Are you the engineer of record or the registered architect of record? No, the guy just, okay then, thank you very much for this, let me file this away. Call the owner and say, hey, I need you to pick someone. Oh, I had a guy, yeah. Well, is that guy gonna be the guy watching this? I don't got time to watch this. Is that the guy? Then call him back, sign some arrangement with him that says he's gonna be speaking with me about your situation. He needs a preliminary affidavit filed with this office, because all he gave me as a report was this. This is a report. Any photographs, which would have been helpful?
I
Right.
actually went back there today and I was looking at it today to see.
How much time did that take? Right? Let's go over here. Let's say the guy, now, not pressure treated, it's a fire escape situation. Let's say that guy gave you, on page 2 or 3, please. That guy gave you one of these. He says, we got a problem. Do you need to go there?
No.
Do you have to go there?
I shouldn't have to.
Right, what do you got in your face?
Right.
Right? You've got something that says, oh yeah, you're right, man. Yeah, definitely. Permit coming? Or a paint permit coming? Which one?
Paint.
Right? So you got a problem. You need that guy to immediately fill out what form? Preliminary affidavit, right? Preliminary, don't call it affidavit anymore. The state wants you to call it certification.
Preliminary certification.
Is this building over 35,000 cubic feet, you think, by eyeballing it from
Yeah.
just this photograph?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's already going to be under construction control. And now, he wants to submit this as his report for repair. He can either report, as it says in the document, it says, give me a drawing, which costs thousands of dollars to design a stupid fire escape. Or can he go there with a spray can in his hand for $2 at a Home Depot and go, fix this. We go one step further, we videotape a walkthrough. Hey, you gotta fix this, you gotta do this, and you gotta do this, and we send it all to you, right? But it's finger painted for dummies. Name one dummy that's gonna appreciate this. The owner?
Oh, yeah.
The owner's gonna appreciate that it's marked, right? 'Cause, oh, there's nothing wrong with my fire escape, what's this do? Right? The repair guy who's gonna pull a permit. What have you done for him, Mr. Joe Blue Collar guy?
He knows exactly what to do.
You've created specs for him.
He's got specs. Does Joe Blue Collar guy like to read specs, or does he like to see specs?
See specs.
Monkey see, monkey do, right? So you finger painted it for dummies. I'm a dummy, I'm a blue collar guy, believe me. I got hijacked in this when I was 11 years old by my dad. Got it? So I know what the problems are, is that everybody's sort of very visual. So finger painted, who finger painted it for dummies? The guy who originally signed what affidavit?
Preliminary.
Preliminary. So then all of a sudden now, he's gonna have, how many visits? The law says one, that's what the law says, minimally one, but usually it's an initial kickoff meeting, a mid-visit and a final, so that's,
So I can ask him to be there on the final inspection?
sure. He has to go there before you even go on your inspection. You don't even show up anymore. You show up at the end when you gotta close the permit. I'll go through the process. So he does his preliminary. He basically provides a report, whether it's photographic or drawing, to the guy who's going to get the job. He comes in and pulls a permit with you, and you say, okay, where's your report? He goes, oh, I'm doing this. Oh, so it's Jackson Engineering, and they finger painted it already for you? Yep, I know exactly what to do. You have to go out there?
No.
No? You issue the permit. The guy does the work. Who shows up in the initial? Engineer. Who shows up in the middle? Engineer. Who shows up in the final?
Engineer.
You there yet?
No.
No? The engineer signs off that affidavit, gives a copy to who?
The owner.
No, the G3 guy, I mean the
Yeah,
repair guy,
yeah.
gives a copy, sends the original to who? Which is step 5, remember? We talked about that step. Because he did an initial confidence test and did it pass or fail? Failed. Did you get a copy of that? Yes. Now in order to close this up, what's he need to do? Another confidence test. Any no questions, he's got to come back what? Yes, 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 yes on the paint and perjury,
Right.
right?
Yep.
He then, you're in your office, Monday, mail comes in, what do you get? What's it have?
Okay.
You do what with it? They say, ah! Right?
Yeah.
And then what do you get a call from?
The lawyer.
You get a call from the repair guy who wants what?
An inspection.
Why?
Because somebody gets money.
He wants to get his money, so he calls you up, and you're like, oh, what's up? Oh, I need you to do a final on that job. I said, great. Do you have a copy of the
Final.
confidence test and the final affidavit? Because you got sent both already. Because he had to sign the final certification and the confidence test, which is what we're calling the fire escape confidence test, which is different than the final affidavit. That's a separate document from the confidence test. You know that, right? The confidence test is the fire escape confidence test. The affidavit is just the closing of a construction control document. You go there and you go, what the hell is this? You go there and you say, who said you could weld this crap? And you tell that guy, you know, if you got caught by the EPA, how much is this? How much is it?
$35,000.
$35,000. If you've taken the 8-hour EPA renovator's license course, they tell you that it's $35. And you come in and say, you still got rust in here, dude. And I got original hardware here. And I got rust packing. I took this course. Right? So what do? Because he wants the permit signed off and he wants his money. What do? You say, no. You say, I'm not, are you closing the permit?
No.
Right? Then you say to the guy, because he's gonna say, what are you talking about? The engineer said it was fine, here's this paper, what are you being a jerk? All of a sudden, say, really? Oh, I got this earlier, I knew exactly. Because now you're even questioning this, because, right, this would have never passed your eyes in today's car, but also there's recommendations. So this is a certification wrapped with repair requests in here.
Yeah.
Now that you're looking at it, I think you should, a couple of things. So we're not done yet? But that's okay. You walk these guys backwards and just train them into what the new system's gonna be. Send them this link.
Essentially, this to me would be a
Preliminary
right here.
examination, which is what the code says.
Right.
Examine, test, or certify. So all of a sudden now we've got this situation. You went there, you're not signing off. Where's the meeting gonna be held? At your office or on the fire escape the next day? Really? You don't want to do it at the fire escape?
I'd rather do it there, yeah.
Why?
Because I want to point out,
To who? To this guy?
yeah.
Yeah, say, hey, so I don't take your license away, or you'll never work in my city again. Let me tell you what I want. First of all, we got a nice class that you should sit through. I had to sit through it for 4 hours, eat pizza, and have this guy talking to me and jump around all day long. Now you're gonna sit through it, but look, pack rust. Let me tell you where I'm at today. This is the best part, right? You're sitting there together. Let me tell you where I'm at today. We're at a load test today. And that's gonna obviously need scheduling, bags of sand and water coming. And you have to pass a confidence test, because I'm not gonna even let you load test it until I'm satisfied that it's initially passed a confidence test. But right now, I got things here that, as a layman, I just learned, but I'm not gonna get away with it anymore. You got pack rust, you got original hardware, this guy sealed and hid silicone, all the rust. You welded certain connections. There's a few more things I need you to do, and then I'll proceed to a load test. Or, what you sent me was a certification. This is an opinion certification that I can bring another guy here who's gonna totally just say, don't accept this. So I don't want this back and forth, he thinks, I don't want this, one guy's opinion is better than the other, because that's gonna happen. One engineer says yeah, the other one says no, then you guys are like, what do I do?
Get third party.
I know, but if you know the fundamentals, right, if you know fundamentals about pack rust, what can't be in there? What's on your confidence test? All critical connections must be 100% free of all internal rust. What about surface rust? That's a maintenance issue. That's 1001.2 is the maintenance clause that says you must keep it painted and free of all surface rust. Is this a maintenance issue? No. This is a structural issue. So we're dealing with structural. So you're going to be basically getting this guy back and say, listen, I need you to retool, retrain as an engineer. Mr. Welding guy from the local guy here, you're one of our citizens here in the community. You need to realize that these welding things, those days are gone. And this thing with paint permits, they're gone. but you're still gonna be an active part of the portfolio of fire escapes here in this city. Guess who's gonna fix them? Your ornamental iron workers and your welding guys are still gonna fix this. You gonna do it? You just need to get everybody up to speed on what the engineer's responsibility is, what the iron worker's responsibility is, because guess who played there? The guys that played and did all this for 75 years were the ornamental ironwork guys. Guess who else broke in and started doing stuff in our field? Landscapers, painters, florists, who else? Anybody else that could throw paint up, not pull a permit, not have insurance, could I pull a permit without insurance?
No,
Can I pull a permit without my construction supervisor's license?
no.
Man, you made it tough. So that's why I hide under a paint permit.
Yeah, but see, we have a problem. All the stuff that you're saying is well and good. I go to that engineer, come on, I want to take you down here, I want to see this. Then he looks at this, and the next thing you know, I get a call from the city manager, or I get a call from a selectman in a town.
Yes.
What are you doing down here? What are you doing? Oh, your contract's coming up for renewal, and I'm looking for another job.
I understand.
You know, I mean, this is what you run up against,
Thank you. I know.
which is difficult. You know, we as inspectors, we're at the mercy of
Yes.
the selectmen, the city manager, all these other morons.
You should have the city selectmen countersign the acceptance of these certificates then, these affidavits.
Well, then for sure I'm looking for another job.
No, I don't have the answer to that, and I understand city politics, but the law is very simple. You want to guarantee that you're not going to have any dead tenants and any dead firemen, then at least minimally load test the fire escape, because all three codes say load test. These opinion letters I cannot accept, and I will accept if you want, and I'll just sign and attach a letter to every one of these that I protested, that this was a thing, and I'll staple it, and that at the order of Selectman Jackson Brown, whatever his name is, I was ordered to accept this, and I did, and I stuck it in the file, and see you at the next fire escape.
Well, what I found out is the best route to go is you go through the fire department.
Oh,
No,
you're gonna throw the fireman under the bus?
No.
Oh.
Only because they're not going to attack the fire department.
Then everybody should get white shirts, let's get these guys up front. A lot of building codes, refer to the fire code.
Because even though we might be the AHJ, the thing is, the fire department, what judge is gonna go against the fire department?
So you've hit it on the head then.
None.
You basically, I gave you 3 codes to say what? Are you gonna cite your code? So you can now change the language in every one of these building inspectors' conversation and say, why you can always, you know why? I got the fire chief up my ass. He's the one with the authority having jurisdiction shall accept by load test or other evidence of strength. And every time I come to him and I say, so if you really don't, I'll do it, but can you call the fire chief and tell him that, we don't care about babies and firemen? Come on, give him a call and I'll accept this. But he's gonna order a load test.
Right.
Call the chief, man. He's the hard ass on this one. Not me, man. I love the old way of doing things, man. Just, close one eye and head the other way. It's that fire chief, man. I hate him too. Gets his phone number.
Yeah.
Need a scapegoat.
I mean, that's what
The 3 codes concur. NFPA concurs. International Fire Code concurs. They already got 2 things that say load test or other evidence of strength. Who will provide the fire chief other evidence of strength? You are. You've got some document, and you say, okay, but from now on, it's our policy in the city that everything gets okayed by the fire chief after the building inspections has accepted. Say, hey, fire chief, I got another opinion letter. Really? Another opinion letter? Okay, load test it. What do you mean? No. See, the guy owns a lot of property, and yeah, okay, load test it. I just want to make sure my men are saving. This guy who has millions of dollars, I want to make sure that he has an asset there that we can save for him to put other people in there renting rooms with electric blankets and heaters plugged into crappy electrical walls. Load test it. So make it a 2-part, okay. You okay it, you accept everything, you okay this letter, and then everything goes up for a countersign to the fire chief. For a countersign. What is this? It's an opinion letter. Blood test, next. Yes, sir.
I just wanna ask another question about these affidavits. I'm really interested in these affidavits. Preliminary affidavit here, I'm just looking at it.
By the way, this is not my document, this is a document you guys have.
Well, this is a document that Lowell has.
No, this is a mass document.
Okay. Well, I'm looking at the one that.
Yeah, I mean, we put Lowell on top, you can take that top. We're just telling you that this preliminary already exists, it's not a document we created, it already exists for you
Okay,
guys.
but it says here, if this is the preliminary.
Yeah.
It says, to the superintendent of inspectional services for the city of whatever. I certify pursuant to 780-107.6 at the best of my knowledge and information and belief that the plans and computations accompanying the attached application concerning the structure at the address are in accordance with the requirements of the Massachusetts State Code 1001.3 testing and certification and all. I'm just confused because this preliminary looks like a final.
No, this preliminary is telling you that he's giving you a report that is in accordance with every code that exists out there related to fire escapes. Or in there, because we didn't add any language, we just added 1001.3 in the
Oh,
sentence.
plans and computations.
So plans, computations means what?
Right, that's the detail set forth.
That's the details that you guys are gonna agree and then allow a permit to be issued. Then, if you read towards the bottom, it says he's gonna show he's gonna show up once at least, right towards the
I
bottom.
would make at least one site visit per week from start to completion, and this is a state document?
There's a state document.
We don't have this, Joe?
Let me get you the document now. Katie, you sent it to me? or
Joe,
no?
we don't have this, we're not using this?
It's in your email.
City,
By the way, this is not for fire escape, this is for all construction control.
right.
Where is this document found?
Mass.gov.
Well, this one is specific to this is specific to fire escapes because it's 1003.
Oh,
1001.
we made it specific. We made it specific.
Gotcha.
And all we did was just add the code language in there and didn't change anything else. We're not stepping on any legal toe. You can take the same document and say it's specific to electrical code, specific to plumbing code, and you can make specific. This is a general document offered by the state, and I'll find it right here for you.
Yeah.
Let me get it up and running for you first.
I'm questioning too, it says here that compliance with approved plans in Mass State Building Code 116.0. Isn't 116.0 unsafe structures?
116?
Yeah. I thought the new unsafe structure was 116.
It is part of that, yeah, you're right.
And one of them that's 115 and another one that's 116.
116 in Mass Amendments is unsafe structures. Used to be, 116 used to be,
I was given this document by Somerville.
used to be controlled construction, but it's now unsafe structures.
And the infinite wisdom, they mix the numbers up every time they print a new book.
Okay, I certify that I will make at least one site visit per week from start to completion of construction to observe compliance with the approved plans and the Mass Building Code 116.0.
Yeah, that would have been.
That's not
construction-
right.
That would have been the old construction control.
So that's not right.
No.
That's not right.
I know 1993, I think that was.
So this, yeah, I don't know how old this affidavit is, but it doesn't have the right.
That
Well-
one came from Somerville,
Yeah, that came from Somerville. If you guys want, we have one that we just took it off of mass.gov.
Okay.
And I'm trying to open it up right now, but I'm having a little internet problem here. But she can actually email it to somebody. Does anybody have an office right nearby here that we can just shoot you the email and you can print out the 4 new ones that Mass is putting out right as we speak?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can email me.
If you can give Katie your email, she'll, because I'm having a little problem with this thing wanting to open up.
Hey, do you have mine ready in your phone?
I do, my computer won't hook to the internet. Oh, here we go. Oh my goodness. Phone keeps beeping, so I can't get it off.
You see that phone? I'm gonna try to connect it using here, but otherwise.
The phone is hooked up to the internet, so it's on the phone internet. if that's what you're
But
doing.
you sent it to me on Yahoo, right? So
I
you
did
just
send
forward.
it to, oh yeah, I'll just
Yeah,
forward it
use-
from yours then.
Yeah, forward from mine to theirs, and they'll print it. So in the meantime, guys, let's, when that comes out, I was trying to play the,
Good one, Dave.
Well, I'm just trying to understand from my.
Yeah, no, that was a good.
the new language is the exact same, pretty much the same language. I looked at it just last night, I actually spoke with Gene Novak about this. I said, Gene, Medford is telling me that, about this construction control document, and then I spoke with him about, he goes, Cisco, this very issue is being discussed now at the Department of Public Safety. And it's the top category on their website, construction control documents. There's actually 4 documents. There's the initial and the final, but there's there's 2 phased ones. And they have a PDF of it, and they have a Word document of it. And you basically can download it, take the mass out of the top, and then right in that language is saying for you guys to participate with them, because they're trying to, see how well.
Right, and then rewrite.
Right, and there's language in there from other people who have been, putting information in. All I did was just take that document and make it a specific roadblock for any fire escape activity. That's all I did. Saying that somebody must declare themselves as the engineer of record, somebody must walk it all the way through to the end so that you guys don't need any responsibility. Upon completion, you're double checking 2 people. When you go to sign off the permit, the key here is that you're checking the work of the iron worker, and you either accept or don't accept. And if you don't accept it, that means there was a failure also of the engineer of oversight, that he doesn't know what the hell he's doing. So you gotta train 2 people. Otherwise, do you let those people work in your city ever again? Do you? If they're doing it wrong, you're gonna let them work in your city ever again?
No.
So on a one-by-one basis, you'll sort of make people say, hey, we want you to continue working here. There's been a couple of changes. We didn't know any better, but now that we do, here's the information. You can study it or not, but we won't let this happen ever again, because life safety is the main concern right now. And you guys are not, up to speed on this. All right.
I did send that to you, Paul, the link for that, those documents, I sent them to your email.
Okay. I'll give everybody a copy.
Yeah, it's mass.gov/DPS, but Department of Public Safety, it's their top category. And they do want your participation in that. And again, all we did, and we're gonna do now because we didn't have time, is we're gonna go in there and move a few of the lines around using Word and just squeeze in 1001.3, the actual code as it's written, somewhere in the language, just add the language specific to change nothing else, and say, hey, this is what you should be using now every time you run across a fire escape. It says everything over 35,000 cubic feet. We're trying to tell you no, don't go that way. We're trying to tell you that it is a departmental procedures and guidelines for the foreseeable future that any fire escape, residential, commercial, or not, institutional, should go through this oversight process, because we've had everything it just got totally out of control. It's been 75 years on, and if we don't apply this to every fire escape, whether it's residential or commercial, it has to be across the board. 5-10 years from now, we don't need it anymore for residential, but we'll continue it as in the future for other things. But right now, we've got a known life safety concern that we need to get on it now. And the only way to get it on it now is not to make you guys responsible for every fire escape you see or don't see, is to make the engineer of record stop holding these things for a fee. Give me a second, I'm just trying to get this into play.
No.
All right, ready?
Right.
So this is how they're fixing stuff out there, guys. So if you see welding going on, what 2 things are they violating?
Lead law.
EPA and also the fire code. You need a hot permit on this. How many guys have full hot permits?
Well, it feels like it. Pretty much.
Very good. So here's what they're doing, guys. No longer is this acceptable. Got it?
Yeah, I see that.
This is the piece at the shop when we start tearing it apart and making two pieces. At another one of these other big shows, hopefully you guys got a big show coming up in the spring for all the associate. I think there's a national thing that's all New England. We're gonna try to get into that one to see if we can do a show.
East Coast building officials coming up?
Yeah, something. If anybody knows anybody in the training committee, we'd love to do that big show that I think catches all the New England states, including Connecticut and New York, I believe. So if anybody knows them, this is the baby right there. This is a school in Cambridge. Kids, this is a playground every day, 3 times, 4 times a day. We took that out, this is what we put back. You actually come out, and now we go again, it took a right over here and it went along the wall. Brand new fire escape. So this was actively used by children every day until the day we took it down. And it took, and believe it or not, just for me to save this piece in its actual, this whole process of dismantling it was so difficult. But I needed to save a piece because it's very rare can we bring something into a room that you guys can get a hands-on about it. You know what I'm saying? So that's one of the reasons why we did that and there's a bigger piece that goes to the ground that you'll love because it's really showing all the wrong ways to fix it, and in it, some of the right ways to fix it, including some of the siliconization and changing of bolts. Got rust, right? Tension center. When you look underneath, that's when you see the biggest problem, right? Are we gonna issue hammers to all the firefighters? Are we? Because this is what their problem is. Pretty big whack. Got it? That's a 3-pound sledge. Okay? Here's another one now. I want to show you. This is Rutgers University, New Jersey. And I've seen some oddball. You think this is an oddball? I got some ones coming up. That's a fireman pole fire escape on a dorm.
Must be an engineering school.
It was Rutgers, wasn't
Can you see? Does this make any sense?
No.
Yet it's still there.
How did they ever get past any kind of inspection?
You guys remember this photograph? You couldn't see it in the original. This is the Bridgeport. I'll show you the blow up of it in a second. There's an 8-year-old child trying to get down that ladder. Anybody train their kids, their 8-year-old kids, how to successfully navigate a fire escape ladder that doesn't want to come down? See, that ladder's not on the ground. That ladder is 10 feet in the air because it's stuck. And what's that child trying to do?
Get down.
Survive. Because what's going on in her apartment and everything above?
Right now, firefighters were taking down the ladders and pulling out the hoses. But earlier in the night, when they pulled up, there were flames coming out of the side of the building. Firefighters say it was one of the scarier moments because when you pull up to a building and you see children and mothers hanging off the side of the fire escape, smoke swirling around them, they said that's scary, scary stuff. They got up there, they got the ladders up, and they said nobody got hurt.
The fire escape, there was 3 or 4 people hanging off the fire escape. They couldn't get off. They were just on the fire escapes. I had people hanging in the fire escapes at the rear of the building, and on this side of the building, we had a bunch of people on that fire escape.
Well, about 50 people were displaced inside this building. I'm our firefighters say there's good news tonight. It looks like everybody will be allowed to go back in, except the one unit where the fire was in. They said, that's good luck to them tonight. I'm Bob Wilson, on the scene of Bridgeport, News 8.
50 people. And that's a good result. Nobody died, nobody got hurt.
Why did they allow them to go back in? They just had the fire with them all hanging off it,
Yeah.
put it out and say, yeah, you
And I
can go back
inspected
in
this,
now.
I inspected these fire escapes 3 months later. 9 months later, they still haven't done a thing about it.
Okay.
Till this day, I haven't heard any information whether they did something about it or not. And we tried to give a class to the Bridgeport Fire Department, but they haven't. You know, there's all kinds of politics, all kinds of things that happen, but
There's other things that happen too. I've got one right now where the front porch is falling off, and it's owned by a North Carolina company. For me to take them to court, I have to get service. I can't get out-of-state service. And if it's all the way to contempt court, you have to get in-hand service. So you could have the worst situation in the world, you can be perfectly aware of it, and people the life's gonna be at stake.
Yep.
And if you can't put a piece of paper in the owner's hand, it's all over.
I thought we had the guy we throw under the bus. Isn't it, if you get the fire official to close the building down, I thought that was all set.
If the city closes the building down.
City or the fire department, who closes it down?
Either branch of the city.
Oh, I thought
If
the fire
city
guys could just
official-
close anything down immediately without having to go
Yeah,
through
but
court.
the problem is, the city, what Joe's trying to get is the city will be responsible.
Right.
So now, we in turn would have to house all these people on our dime.
Fire watches can be ordered?
Yeah.
Let me ask you another question. We have this question all the time. I have a rotten fire escape, a rotten stair, a rotten something. Can I order a scaffolding company to put in code compliant temporary stairs to basically take the place of any bad fire escape or any bad porch or any bad situation and create a temporary means of egress that will help satisfy a lot of people?
Only if the city is willing to pay for it.
Right, but I can either house people,
I've seen it done in construction sites,
right,
as a
So-
temporary means while they're adding, eliminating, doing
Right.
something.
That was a
OSHA.
planned project, they had a building permit.
So, just so you know, the scaffolding answer is how you get over a $25,000 problem. You order $1,000 a month scaffolding while you guys are figuring all these things. Who usually pays for it? It's the owner. If you're forced to pay for it, guess who's gonna have to pay for it in the end anyway when all this works out its way through court? So if you don't wanna empty a building because it's full of pregnant mothers or something,
Right.
what can you order immediately when this becomes apparent to you? Temporary scaffolding will satisfy the means of egress situation for you, and a fire watch there 24/7 will satisfy who?
The fire department. Right.
So work that out, but basically you don't have to fix these things, you just need to provide alternative means of egress that's code compliant and approved.
And we could turn around and back charge the owner.
You have to back charge the owner. You guys do that all the time, and I'm sure you guys walk into certain buildings and take over. No heat, whatever the situation may be, and then of course you're gonna back charge, and then they basically, it's tied to the tax, tied to the sale of the building ever, right? It's basically the city stepped in and did something that, and,
After 3 years, you can make a tax lien.
and then the tax lien takeover, right? Guys, this is what you're worried about inside the buildings, because a lot of times, what happens in the veneer, in between the veneer and the masonry block wall, what happens? In the roof parapet wall, water comes down between the
Yeah,
veneer.
and then it pushes the wall out. And you
Does what? Eats the steel.
Right.
Water gets in behind there, eats the steel. Can you see that from the outside with a beautiful veneer building?
No.
Would a load test identify this problem?
Yes.
If I drill some holes, can I identify this problem? That's part of the verification process is, what do I have to do?
Camera.
I drill holes and I do a camera. Well, if I drill a hole next to the steel, can I get a camera? Can I drill some holes next to the steel, drill some openings, and throw a camera down there and photograph that the steel is all pure and not rotted?
Yeah.
That's called verification. Do I need to load test that after I've gone through this expense?
No.
To take the bricks out, it cost me $200 to $400 to $500 by a mason to take out and put back. To drill a hole cost me $50.
And then you just.
And then I pack it with what kind of anchoring cement? Fast dry anchoring cement that they sell at Home Depot in the yellow tubs?
Hydraulic.
Hydraulic cement. Fast drying anchoring cement, also it's called too. That's it. So can I verify things into the wall even on a masonry building?
Yes.
From the inside or the outside? Is it an impossibility now that you've seen the way we do it? That's what it looks like when you look inside. Sometimes, ready? $200-300 to check something out. How much does it cost for me to put in a Hilti? $50. So, should I drill that hole to examine and throw a camera, or should I drill that 3/4 hole and stick an epoxy bolt in there and then mechanically fasten it back to the original connection? Now I'm at what percent of the connections into that building? 200%. What's my major? My primary, my master? The new bolt. What's my secondary? The original connection. Which one do you care about?
The
The new one. Is that satisfactory evidence of strength? Do I need to load test it?
No.
No. Is the building 100, 50, 75, 100 years old?
Yes.
Should these things have been checked anyway?
Yeah.
What are you doing today is you're putting a new line in the sand, right? Will that building hit 200 years old? Probably not. So you're basically giving it the next 25, 50, 75 years of life, and then it's gonna get demolished anyway into something else, yes?
If you're trying to support a landing and it's on a bracket,
Right.
you're putting outward moment or
Yeah.
torque, whatever an engineer would call it, on that through bolt that you suspect is rusted. So now you're putting a Hilti bolt next to it
Right.
that's on maybe the one width of brick that might just be a veneer,
No, we don't, it goes 8 to
It's gonna go
12,
all
8
the
to 12
way
inches deep.
8 to 12 inches deep.
Yeah, you gotta go beyond the veneer and 8 to 12 inches deep into the masonry. And if that masonry wall is no good, the only other thing I have is I have to go all the way through and put a plate on the inside.
Right, because most,
If I can't do that, I gotta put legs on the ground,
yeah, most
into
of the,
sonotubes 4 feet deep in the ground. I have
I
answers.
thought you were trying
No,
to say,
no.
put in a 6-inch bolt and be.
No, no.
Most 100-year-old building is a triple width, triple thick,
Yeah, brick.
unreinforced brick,
unreinforced,
wood frame.
yeah.
Yep. A lot of times, those are gonna get all the way drilled through, plate on the inside, then it gets hidden. Or we leg it to the ground and call it a day. Now, we really don't care about the building, we care that it's attached. But as soon as you put a leg on the nose of that triangle arm, all the way to the ground, now you're supporting it differently. You just made that into a
Does
bridge.
that new leg have to be bolted or welded?
It's bolted, everything's bolted.
It still have to be bolted, you couldn't just weld.
Can't, unless it's brand new steel, of course, you can weld all day long. But 5 years later, what's this guy gonna make me do on my welded connections?
X-ray.
X-ray them. And what's cheaper?
Bolt.
With a bolt. Start with a bolt. They perfected fire escapes 100 years ago. It hasn't changed. Nothing has changed on fire escapes in 100 years. They kind of figured it out. This is what through bolts look like. This is what inside plates look like.
The base plate of the column, you would weld that to the column. The base plate of the column would have to be welded to the column.
But what's that?
Molded.
You're pressuring down, and then you put a bolt on the side. So there's some things that, you know, that welding is gonna be one of the final answers, but it's not part of the superstructure up above that could rip or tear.
Yeah.
This is just pressuring straight down.
Straight down.
Load test, guys, 10-story, cable. So you run a cable all the way through, there was an angle iron that went across, and the engineers calculated that if we exerted a load on that, we were exerting about 3,000 pounds. We were lifting the rear of this truck. And as we lift, every floor independent, as soon as you hit 3,000 pounds, you would load test the first 1,000 pounds, for example. Sorry. You would load test the first 1,000 pounds, which is about 40%. Watch it for 10 minutes. Take measurements before, during, and after. If nothing deflected, then you put the full load on it. So if there's any deflection of any kind, you stop the test immediately. So this is us examining, and you have a little load cell. And as you put load on it, the little calculator, the little digital reader tells you how many pounds you put on it. Okay, question?
Yeah, no, he was load testing balconies in that image,
Yes.
which is a small finite area. Now, if you had a 5-story fire escape with 5 stories of stairs, it's all interconnected as one structure.
Right.
Would you have to load 100 square feet on every square foot?
Every
the
tread,
entire-
every support,
every tread,
very costly.
Every landing.
Every land, give you
all the
money.
way up, all at once.
Sandbags, water bags, money bags.
They can't just take like 1 pallet of brick and do.
No
one
bolts
landing.
needed, no paint, just give me lots of money. Guys, we did the Bob Hope building in LA. I think it was like 15 stories, sandbags. And every platform had to be landed, and you just basically pile sandbags of 25 pounds, 50 pounds a piece, and you would, I need 30 bags here, I need 15 bags there. You just keep coming all the way down. Hey, what's a passing grade look like on a load test? What's a failing grade look like on a load test?
Collapse.
Who has to put it back?
Who has to put it back?
The owner thinks we have to put it back. When the thing rips off the building and falls to the ground? Oh, well, I didn't tell you to break it. I'm gonna sue you guys. You guys gotta put it back. I said, I'm sorry. You failed the load test. So, this is a fireman's issue. A fireman, there was a woman up here with a child. A fireman on a case that we were involved in that settled out of court, fell through 3 of these treads, landed down here, went back up and saved the woman. He was 27 years old. Saved the woman and the child, got her away. Then when all the adrenaline wore off, guess what he shattered? His vertebrae, and he was out for the rest of his life. The uniqueness of this case was that he didn't just go out on work-related injury, and he sued the owner of the building for lack of maintenance as required by law. He must maintain the fire escape. He sued the owner and won. That he didn't get hurt because of a work-related injury. He was hurt because of negligence
Efficiency.
by the owner to maintain his fire escape at all times. And he won. So this is part of the case. This is where we got our information. We worked a lot with a metallurgist who gave us the 25-inch rule. He said 25 years will equal about a quarter-inch of rust. 50 years will equal about 50 a half-inch of rust. But basically, this is the information that came from it. Ready? This goes into here now, guys. And now we're going to sort of speak to the end. Open up this page and go to this. This is all the fire escape components in the United States. Okay? Supports, brackets. Okay? So I'm going to go through here very quickly, but this is talking about tread. Let me tell you how rust starts on a typical tread. In the first 5 years that it's built, we get surface rust trying to get into a joint. And as long as you wire brush it and keep it painted, it'll never get in there. 5, 10, 15 years later, it did penetrate because you never cleaned it and you didn't maintain it. Guess what it did? It went through like this tread over here. And it's already 1/16, 1/8, 1/4. And what has it done to the bolt? It's eaten it. This is a rivet connection. So while it's here, it's trying to ice jack and separate, because you guys know rivets, there's a mushroom head on one side, the tail is just smashed. There is no nut there. So as soon as it starts growing, it's gonna basically push that little smudge or that little nothing of iron away. "25 to 50 years, it's grown pack rust, quarter-inch. Now, what happens to that rivet that is only so long? And you induce a quarter-inch push on it. What happens? So the only thing that's happening when you're stepping on this is that it's literally on the edge. The angle is doing this. It wants to come down, but it has this rod that's here. So as long as the angle is trying to come down on that shaft, what's never going to happen? It's never going to drop. But as soon as something pushes the angle out to the edge of my shaft, which is 25 to 50 years, what happens now? The fireman steps on it, and what happens?
Bang.
It's got no shaft, it's going to go through. So that's what happens there. That's what's happening over there. When he steps on it, this is where that fireman fell through. Not one, not two, but 3 staircases gave way. As I was going up this fire escape, it was falling on me. 2 years after the case, we had the fire escape full of lawyers, firemen, and everybody investigation, the whole reinvestigating because this was going to court and stuff like that. And we're walking up, so we're videotaping this thing that it wasn't even, guess what they fixed? Those 3 treads. Those 3 treads were ready. The rest of the fire escape, ready for collapse again, ready for the next fireman. The fire escape behind us, which was not even part of the case, missing, the tread was dangling. This is how most steel is buried into a masonry building, 8 to 12 inches deep. So that's all you got. When you go there, it goes through the 3 inches of veneer into the wood, the cement in the back, which could be just 3 courses of brick. Okay? This is missing its arm. So without its arm, holding 2 staircases, only buried 8 to 12 inches deep, what do you do when you pack that up? What do you think is going to happen to this fire escape? Can't hold it. See this connection into the building? 8 to 12 inches deep. You either got a single bolt or a gusset on the end. This is what happens when water dries into it. All you need is rust to do ice jacking, rust jacking. This is what bolts look like on some of your factories. And there's so much pressure that it sometimes caves in. This is what happens when you have so much moisture on a fire escape, you can grow lettuce or other things. This is how much rust is jacking. This is a school, this is a library in Boston. That's 1 inch of rust on that gusset on a library. In case you want to grow exotic plants and stay away from the law, you got to grow them on fire escapes, because nobody ever goes to fire escapes, right? Everybody found out, man, you can do so much growing of, certain chemicals and certain things. You got to grow them on your fire escape, because nobody will ever show up there to check it out. Nobody. the fire department, building department, you gotta go there.
Main Street.
Legs to the ground, that's your other way that fire escapes get held. Legs to the ground, as you can see. This is when fire escapes get smashed. A lot of people just see the veneer, but where's the real damage? Behind the veneer.
Right.
This is through bolt. Every wood structure must have a through bolt with a big nut, usually 5/8 or 3/4. It's usually 3/4. As soon as you get to a fire escape that's wood, you got a bunch of lag screws on it, 6. That's the giveaway. Not one lag screw, lots of lag screws. What's it mean? It's not through bolted correctly. Cantilevers. You guys want to hear a story of what cantilevers is supposed to be? They're supposed to be single action requiring no special knowledge. Does that sound familiar? To the fire guys? You're supposed to come in, come here, push this bar that's blocking you because you got a fire. You need any special training for that? You push it away, it rotates, gets away from, because the thing wants to go up. So it's here, as soon as it rotates away, what happens? The weight box goes up. So this weight box goes up, this goes down, hits the ground and stays down. It's supposed to drop 2 to 3 feet per second. Stay down on the ground. So I got a 150-pound woman, I got a 50-pound child. When there's a fire, she gets out of her building. Does she walk in front of or behind the child? She's leading the way.
She should be in front.
She's leading the way. So she's going to grab the child and follow me, and she's going to walk the child down the stairs. She finally gets down to the stairs and she comes here. And a lot of these fire escapes are weighted backwards with what? A chain from here to here. How many people have seen the chain? You know why the chain is there? Because you guys don't know any better. Because that chain is basically, I have a guy from the local iron worker put a bunch of weight over here so that the thing is packed backwards. And if I didn't have that chain, what would happen to the nose of that thing? If it had pointing into the sky, what would you write me if you saw the thing pointing into the sky? A violation. So I call at a Home Depot and I buy a chain and I grab its ass and I lift it up horizontally and I tie it where? Where it needs to be on a support, or where do I tie it? To some obscure railing piece or anywhere I can tie it, and I put it horizontal. What don't you write me? So if you see a chain anywhere, is that original hardware?
No,
Is it balanced or unbalanced?
unbound.
Balanced the wrong way.
Violation right off the bat, right? So now, the woman comes down and it's out of balance. She steps on the first tread. What happens?
No.
Third tread?
Yeah.
Fifth tread? Fifth tread, she starts moving, right? She moves 2 feet per second or 5 to 10 feet per second. And she has a child behind her, right?
Yeah.
The thing comes down and slams the ground, right? What happens to her?
Boom.
She gets ejected, possibly, but she holds on, right? She holds on, and the child is screaming, and this 150-pound mom and the 50-pound child goes to the end. She gets to the last stair that's on the ground now. 150-pound leaves the cantilever. Child is still behind her on the cantilever. What happens?
Ooh.
These things are supposed to be how many feet off the ground? 12 to 14 feet. So now she's on the ground, and her child is where?
12 feet up.
And she tells the child to do what?
Jump.
And the child does what?
Jump.
Child ain't gonna jump. No child will jump 12 feet.
If the mother's telling them, he will.
She's not gonna jump. She starts crying, starts screaming.
Yeah.
She's holding on. The mom in her nightgown does what?
Screaming.
Starts screaming. Nobody around to help. What's the mom do?
Run back in the building.
Run back in the building. She goes to the front of the building. What does she forget?
Keys.
Her keys. She in the building has a glass front. She sees a brick. She's gonna do what? She's gonna break in to the building. But just then, who arrives? Fire department steps in and says, "Oh, what's going on? What are you doing?" "Oh, my child." You gotta say my child. The fireman runs to the back alley. Does what? Looks at the child and says, "What?"
Jump.
Does he? Does she?
No.
So they go back and get what?
The ladder.
The pike pole.
Okay.
Do what?
Pull it down.
Pull it down. Reunite the baby with the child. They'll do what with their foot? Step on it and do what? Hold it there. Why? If they take their foot off, what happens? Goes back up. So did they effectively lose one firefighter? To be what? A doorstop? And he's holding that while everybody else is fighting the fire. Now, here's how cantilevers are supposed to work. She comes here, she releases it. By the time she walks down
It's already down.
it's already down, hits the ground, stays down. Okay? That's the cantilever. So if you see chains on them, they're illegal.
Well, don't they put them on because the concrete builds up and the rust?
That's another reason the water gets in here and rust grows 5 times its size and 5 times its weight. That's why you got ice jacking. And that's why these things get out of balance. They need to be sealed and cleaned every so often. See this chain? Illegal. See the release arm here? Open. What's going on? Is it still horizontal, right? So cantilevers must be balanced. They get hit by trucks all the time.
What about the car that's underneath the?
Can't be there. There's supposed to be a bollard there. If there's,
We understand that, but we see cars on the street.
you gotta put a bollard there. People are always parking, either you identify it as a no parking zone, which if people don't care a shit, you put a bollard in the middle of it. So that minimally the portion of the ladder is in front of the bollard, and they can try to squeeze in behind the bollard if they wish, but they can't block. So trash trucks hit them all the time because they get out of balance, and when they're out of balance, that's when they get hit. Staircases. Pack rust in the gussets holding the stringer, so it's not just a staircase to come down, I mean the tread can come down. This is in Chicago, 25 Palmer Hotel, 25 stories.
Wow.
Right? This is from the ground, I took a shot of the staircase that was already not even connected to the fire escape. 1 inch of pack rust, treads falling, smashed by trucks, delivery trucks.
If we walked around, did a walk around, we'd find a lot of the same stuff here. It's out there. You don't even have to try.
Where they are.
You don't have to try.
A lot of pack rust. These holders here, they're the spacers that would keep the 1 inch spacing. They're original with a tube and a rod, a 3/8 rod. They rot immediately. There's a rod on this one. The only answer you have if you want to keep this grating, you got to put a piece of flat on top, a piece of flat on the bottom. You got to create a sandwich, and then use it so it doesn't create an obstruction, something that's not a trip hazard. That's how you basically buy another 5 or 10 years of these. Otherwise, you got to replace the grating.
Why don't they make it out of some other metal?
They do. Today's grating is plain painted steel with the bar already welded on top, so there's no place for it to grow. And they also make it galvanized. So whenever you replace grating, minimally you should replace with galvanized grating. So they have perfected the grating to be better. But you can't fix the old ones. You can't get in and remove. So a lot of these treads, excuse me, have that rot, and they're bad. I'm sorry that I'm just rushing through here, but I'm just trying to get you. This is another school, elementary school. So these are everywhere.
So these schools obviously are not getting inspected.
No, obviously, this school was not getting inspected. Why? We're not gonna point a finger at anybody, we just say they're not, so what are we gonna do about it? You know what I'm saying? It's like a dam upriver that's never been inspected, it was just, okay, then keep it not inspecting, or should we, now that we know it hasn't been inspected in 50 years, let's go and inspect it?
Schools that.
Life safety step child. Just a step child, that's all.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just-
So this is the, believe it or not, this is a accordion ladder, very popular in the West Coast, because they don't have any freezing rain or snow. And you basically release that, and it opens up like an accordion. And there's a ladder on the inside, which is legal. It's called an accordion ladder. So these are some examples of ladders, guys, with weights over the roof. These have to be secure to make sure nobody gets hurt or killed. This has been a problem. If I have any fire escape ladders that I see that somebody cut it and folded half of it back, guess what happens when you push this forward? She comes down and arches down and does what to somebody's head down below?
Yeah.
So it's illegal. You can only drop them like a guillotine with weights and balance, or you can make them permanently affixed to the wall. There's also fold-out ladders, so this would actually kill somebody down below if not properly dropped. Care. Here's cantilevers. This is one. This is the Chicago incident, by the way. Watch how violent the issue is here. They were using it to basically work as a working platform. They were doing masonry work on the entire building. Can you use a fire escape as a working platform under OSHA? Under OSHA law? And so, this fire escape, so the release arm, ready? Release it, drops 2 to 3 feet per second, hits the ground, stays down. Look how violent this is. What happened was, on this particular fire escape, they had a stiffener angle welded 25 to 50 years ago on this. And because they were using this as a working platform, doing this 15 times a day for over 2 months, they broke all the welds and that piece fell on a guy's head. While we were here, this was not staged. This is one of the reasons why they had to keep it up. It's a delivery for the hotel. But at the same time, this is what trash trucks do. This is a 14-foot trash truck. And look what happens. Now this fire escape has a release arm holding it horizontal. Imagine it didn't have one. How many of these get hit by these trucks backing up? Because they can't see them. They're 15 feet above their head. Their mirrors can't pick it up. But look how close they get to the next one. And you see the chain on the next one? Look at the chain right there. Got it? So we're almost done at the end to the end of the show. So what's the fire escape plan? Let's get down to the brass tacks, guys. Right here. We're going to work with one of your lead guys and try to implement this program over the next 1 to 3 years. The permit process, immediate, right? Every permit now, you need to identify to everyone that they must have a certificate at the beginning or at the end of the process. It's pretty simple, right? Fire guys, what are you going to have on your smoke detector sheets? You're going to ask for what? A copy of certificate so that you can give to who? Otherwise, continue on with business and close it up. But then you know that, so to close up your end, you either attach a current certificate or you attach the notice of violation has been done and you just move on to the next one. That's the only thing you need to close up that smoke and issue an occupancy permit. This is some of the classes that we've taught. So I'm gonna work with 2 lead guys here in the city that is basically gonna, sort of every fire escape is sort of gonna funnel back, and every fire escape is gonna be an example. So if we get some wooden ones, everybody's gonna learn from it. We get some steel ones, everybody's gonna learn from it. We got some that have cement pads in them. Everybody's gonna learn from them. Wooden ones, rear porches that are now acting as the means of egress, because now all exterior steel or wooden stairs. So now is all these rear deck porches gonna be picked up on this? Every single one, right? So housing authorities, we've done a lot. So are you single-handedly with your code fixing things, or are you working with 3 codes?
3.
And right now, as you said, there's a lot of politics involved, but we're going to throw the firemen under the bus, right? And blame who? Who wants these load tests?
Chief.
So do you want a letter from the fire chief to your commissioner that says, if the fire escape is spot repaired, we want a load test, or we want the fire escapes refurbished? Otherwise, any other opinion letters that come forward, we would want them load tested from the fire department.
Well, what I would do is if I asked him to do it and to bolt it, and he was only gonna spot it, I would say, well, then I want a load test. He said, well, you're not gonna do that. Then I'd get the chief involved at that point. If he wasn't gonna comply, then I would bother the chief and then have him order it.
Yeah, have him take the heat, because you guys don't want to take the heat, right?
Well, it's not that we won't take the heat, it's just that we'll get fired.
No, I know. So let's throw the chief. He's a good guy. I'm not saying he's a bad guy. You guys need somebody that people can't really push around too much
Right,
because of the job.
You're not gonna push the chief.
The chief says everything that's spot repaired, I want to end in a load test, unless you have other evidence of strength, because he's got 2 codes that he works with. The chief works with the International Fire Code and then the NFPA code, and they both specifically say the authority having jurisdiction shall be permitted to approve any existing fire escape stair that has been shown by load test or other evidence of strength. And I walked in there with this letter, and you know what he said? I'm not going to take that. Give me a load test. Okay?
I think the chief has more cause, just like the fact he has to send his men
Exactly.
Right.
Fires.
I'm here.
And he's not, he's
It already exists, we're not changing
He's not
code.
gonna say no, he's not.
We're not gonna
No.
change, well, as soon as you get his participation through fire marshal, through fire prevention, and everybody's cool, and there's a rule from him that says, you give me other evidence strength that I'm satisfied with, otherwise I want a load test. Well, this guy just spot repaired the fire escape and then he painted it. Good. It was a good work, oh, damn good work. Did he leave behind any original hardware? Yeah, he left behind some rivets and some bolts, but they're good. And the engineer signed off. Okay, so he's giving you an opinion letter on the remaining ones that I may be able to go to a funeral with. All right, give me a load test. Right? And that's why I said, okay, yeah, did you walk back? So I'm sorry, you know, I was ready to accept this, but the chief said, if you have any problems, take it up with the chief. So we have our piece. Tags. Now this is rapid fire, ready? Because we're at the end, guys, ready? So we talked about the yearly. We have ideas, we don't want the opinion letters anymore, right? We have confidence tests that you can either have the National Fire Escape Association do it, or go to seattle.gov, download that test and do what to the top name. Put your name in there. So it's a nationally recognized tags. We taught, just so you know, not only is this an accredited course, we teach through Kane University, the entire state of New Jersey, fire prevention. We teach this as a 6-hour continuing ed course. So we teach the entire fire prevention. I've taught several classes there. This is the Lowell letter that went out with the tax bill. So if you want to copy this letter, this is what gets sent out with the tax bill, and it's pretty simple. It says, hey, we're aware now that we dropped the ball on this. Do it voluntarily, otherwise, you know, we're going to call him the taxman, the $1,000 fine guy? He's the fine guy. Just drop it in here, $1,000 fine if not in compliance within 30 days. Okay? Here's what you want to hear. Every time somebody calls you, they want to qualify themselves with you. Structural engineers or others qualified and acceptable to you. So believe it or not, structural engineers are going to have to re-qualify themselves with you. Otherwise, what are you getting? So even structural engineers need a little bit of retraining. Do you want to have another one of these classes? They're free. So put together through Katie in January or February or March, go back 1 year, 2 years to all these that you've ever gotten and send every one of them a letter saying, hey, we're holding a class, please attend. Otherwise, here's the link to the class we had. Otherwise, things have changed. Pretty simple. There's a new sheriff in town, so here's the standards that we talk about. This is what a typical exam looks like, guys. You get a report, and guess what you get lots of? Pictures. I told you that was crazy. You guys thought the, what do you call it, the flagpole was crazy? This is a 12-story slidescape. These guys, this is in Elizabeth, New Jersey. There's not many left of these. This is this is a turn of the century, 1900. Art Deco buildings have these. We're up there. This is the spiral staircase. I'm not the spiral, the slidescape all the way down. Ready? So every floor has one of these. So this is up on the roof. And if you needed to get away, you throw yourself into this tube. And it's a corkscrew slide. At the very bottom, after you slid for 12 stories with other people paddling in, at the very bottom your feet are supposed to hit this metal door with this huge paddle with your feet, and it kicks open the last door. In case you get stuck, don't worry about it.
The next guy's gonna help you.
Next guy's gonna help you go down. These are what reports look like, that finger painted for dummies. So don't let the engineers charge the client $2,000 to go draw the fire escape. Just show up with a can of spray, mark it, because that's what the confidence test says. Mark it with contrast in color or a drawing. Don't let them charge the clients for a drawing. It makes no sense. Mark it because it's the blue collar guys that are going to do the work anyway. We've got the industry standards, tags, confidence test. That's what a tag looks like hanging on a building, 7 to 10 feet off the ground. It's plastic, it'll last many years. Department of Procedures and Guidelines, get your name and information and your city tags up here. Okay? That's what tags look like. It's white, the fire escape has no deficiency. It tells you what the next 5-year cycle is going to be, so everybody's aware. I would show you this, but you know what this is? This is they have these escape bags now. But I think the timing is.
Hey, you live in a high-rise.
I was going to show you this. There's another one that costs about $4,000. This costs about $4 million. You can actually evacuate people off the roof. But I'll send you, when you get a chance to look at this, I'll send you the links to these. But this is a system that comes off the top of a building, that's about $4 million, in case you want to have a third means of egress. But we're running out of time, guys, so 3 codes are supporting everybody, we're not changing any code. By the way, guys, you know that a lot of these fire escapes on old schools, you know you're supposed to use the fire escape during drills, fire drills, they happen how often every month? One announced, one unannounced, okay? So every fire escape is supposed to be used by the kids. They're not. All these schools, these charter schools, are using schools for schools, or they're using converted office buildings. And they have fire escapes that are not in conformity, because a lot of these fire escapes are on converted office buildings that are housing charter schools. They were supposed to do to the fire escape? Upgrade it for its current use, which is mass evacuation, which is 3 feet, 4 feet wide, whatever. So a lot of these charter schools have inadequate fire escapes. And that's in the state law, that you have to egress and use the fire escapes during your fire drills. We're almost done, guys, just a couple of bullets and we'll be done. Right? All exterior steel wooden stairs, fire escapes, and egress balconies shall be examined. Ready? Is this an exterior steel wooden stair? Is this an exterior steel wooden stair? Is this an exterior steel wooden stair? Is this an exterior steel wooden stair balcony bridge? Is this an exterior steel wooden stair? Balconies? Is this an exterior steel wooden stair? 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 Catwalks. Handicap ramps. Are they exterior steel wooden bridges?
Yeah.
Is this an exterior steel wooden stair?
Tested every year.
Exterior steel wooden stair? Bridges that go over streets. You got a lot of schools here. Sometimes they use these to get over certain streets. Is that a bridge?
Yeah.
Covered under what? 1001.3? Does the state examine these, or is the owner of the school and the property supposed to examine these bridges?
Well, that's been a key issue here in the city.
Right in the
We're trying to figure out who
I already
owns
told
it. Does the city own that walk bridge, or does the state own that?
If it's a state,
Nobody
it's
wants
a
to
state
take
inspection. No,
responsibility.
these walk bridges are they on state, if they're on state grounds, state inspection. If they're on school public grounds or hospitals and they have these, who owns them? And then who has to do the 1001 5-year test on these?
Then it must be, because if it's just going over the state building, but we must maintain.
Is this a steel wooden stair? All right, guys, we're at the end, so I think we got this, right? We got quite a bit. All right, so we're here, and you want to wrap it up?
Yeah.
Want to say anything else?
National
If
Fire
you come up
Escape-
here, come on up here so everybody can see
National
you.
Fire Escape, for an awareness today, that's what we gave you was awareness. We brought in the expert of experts to be able to answer your questions because he's the guy and he's available. And we appreciate that Cisco will come and give his time for us, to answer any questions that you have. But Katie is a resource. She's in the office. She has access to all these documents. If you need any help, call, we'll take care of it. If you need us to come back just to help somebody with the documents, Katie or I will come back and help you. There has to be an awareness. We're not saying it's going to happen overnight. As Cisco said, it's a 3 to 5 year program. It's an awareness. Now you guys know. I would hope in the next accident that happens, I hope in some other place, it's going to happen. You know, there's 2.6 million fire escapes out there that are that are over 75 years old. Something's going to happen. I'd like your boss to say, hey, could that happen in our time? You say, well, at least we started a program a couple of years ago. And when that happens, you guys can say we were on top of it. So hopefully with this awareness and the information that we gave you, you can start something and we can all be happy that nobody gets hurt in Worcester. So thanks. And we don't want any firemen really avoiding going up the fire escapes. Every time you go, the firemen just don't go on. So, you know, hopefully you can make their job a little bit easier, and that's I wish. Thank you, I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
And by the way, thank you. Again, credited, so make sure you sign the document here. Number 2, all recorded, so this will probably be a 5 or 6 piece class online, probably within the next 2 to 4 weeks. We'll also throw in a lot of these downtown walkarounds as part of your class, so even though we didn't do